All right. Welcome to Slim and Semm. It's Thursday. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I try to stream at um, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern to talk about or stream random stuff. Still trying to figure out what the content's going to be on a consistent basis. No face cam today. Your boy didn't shave and trim his beard up. Not camera ready, but I have a somewhat spoiler of a profile image in the bottom left corner of one Kang the Conqueror. We will get to him in a second. We are going to talk about um episode 4 of X-Men 97 season 2. Well, I mean, what an episode. what what an episode of television. What an achievement of comic book storytelling. If there were any worries of whether or not season 1 would have same heat. I mean, if season 2 would have the same heat as season 1, I mean, I don't know how many times I gotta put those doubts to rest. This episode was amazing. It was great. So I got some screen caps, Google image searches, stuff like that to help me as I describe and narrate what happened in the episode. We're gonna go over the episode, uh, the parts that stood out to me, and we'll do some analysis, and I'll make some predictions of where I think the series is going from here. But we got in the background general uh, ensemble of X Men characters. A lot of them are in their new X Men garb. The Grant Morrison run. Really a revitalization of the X Men comic book storylines post Jim Lee, Chris Claremont era, and Apocalypse in the background. But this is where we start, and let's go to where we begin. The episode continues from the last episode where King Ramatut, from his futuristic little palace in the Egyptian desert, 5,000 years in the past, shoots out an energy beam towards the location of the beheaded Logos, who was one of his generals, who Ensabanur decided to behead, even though Magneto was trying to tell him, you don't kill him. That activated a tracking beacon that Ramatut had put into his subordinate's cranium, because he has that future tech, so he put the air tag on him, the Apple tag, whatever you call that, and started beeping, gave him the location, and he sent out the energy blast. Boom. Energy blast went up into the sky, bent it like Beckham, came back down on the location of Ensabanur, his Sandstormers, and the X-Men, the time-displaced X-Men. Without them knowing, Ensabanur, without Kang, Ramatut knowing, Apocalypse and his crew were about to, take it to the X-Men because they discovered the little experiments that they were doing with the discarded robot carcasses that have been accumulating as Ensabanur and his army continue to rebel against the Pharaoh and destroy his automaton robotic soldiers. The X-Men, with Nightcrawler's help, with his ability to be stealth and teleport in and out, were collecting that tech from those robots, and Beast was trying to MacGyver together a way back home for his fellow X-Men. And when Ensabanur and his right hand man Baal discovered that treasure trove of tech and how they were putting it together, Ensabanur immediately felt betrayed, immediately accused Magneto and the rest of them of lying to him, and that they were trying to build a weapon, that they were just collecting the discarded technology so that they could build a weapon and also be an adversary to the former slave and his compatriots. So they were throwing down. Bishop unveiled himself, as you know, and started bucking and helps out the X-Men. Then they get hit. And Sabar survived the attack. So did our X-Men. Magneto was able to protect them, and he's like, yo, my bad, I can only protect us. I couldn't protect everybody from that quick, attack that started caving in the whole rock structure where we were hiding out. I couldn't help everybody. And so Barno not hearing that shit. He is breathing heavy. I don't know if y'all know that meme when they put the audio, like let's say when a team loses, right? A sports team loses, like the other day when Portugal lost in the World Cup. You had people going online, putting on FIFA and playing Portugal, like running it back, playing Portugal against who they lost to, and scoring like 100 goals in the game, and they just breathe like mad while they're playing. The score is like 100 to zip, and they got to get their get back somehow, even if it's virtual. Well, that's how Ensabano was breathing, holding the body of his savior, because Baal had found him in the desert as a baby where his mother left him. And he wasn't, he's blaming, he has all this rage, he's blaming the X-Men for all that shit. Even though, had he listened to Magneto and not killed Logos, beheaded him, Ramatut wouldn't have had their location of their hidden base. But anyway, he's not hearing it. He's looking at them like this. And, the X-Men is still trying to, like, negotiate. They're still trying to negotiate with Ensabanur. And Bishop was like, yo, we don't got time for this. This is me saying that. And I go through time back and forth every day. I was like, we don't have the time for this. He's the only adult in the room. He's like, yo, we need to leave. Stop trying to negotiate with this dude. You know what he becomes. Let's stop meddling. Let's bounce. Magneto, he's still convinced they could try to change Apocalypse's future. He's still convinced that they could change it. And so Professor X, kind of joining in with Magneto's redemption arc, his boy, is like, all right, let me talk to Ner. Ner, let me holler at you real quick. Like, if you don't buy what I'm selling this last time, like, you can take my head too. You could slice my bald head off too. But he don't really offer his head, pause. But Ensabano basically tells him, if your persuasion doesn't work on me, I know my knife will. He got that curved sword Ankh type joint. He's not playing. You know what I mean? He's not playing. So while Professor X goes off to talk with Ensabano and chat up with him and to try to explain to him, yo, we from the future. I know we kept that from you. I know we kind of lied to you, but it was for a good cause. It was for a good reason, my boy. Like, get over it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not trying to harm you. And Sabarnur was like, man, y'all not really here. Y'all didn't really mean all this. Y'all didn't mean to kill my whole battalion like that. Charles was like, no. Like, Magneto just trying to help you out, my boy, so that we could make a good future for all mutant kind, harmony. That's what he's always talking about, harmony between mutants and humans, and this mutant responsibility to make a better future for everybody. And Sabarnur's like, man, listen, all right, what you want me to do? Cut to the rest of the X-Men. Again, Bishop's in the corner. I don't know if you can see him. Bishop's in the corner there. I'm letting you peek in there, the Bishop, talking with Beast and them and all that. And he basically saying to them, Charles over there talking when I got these bands on me that could send us all home. Let's go home. And Nightcrawler and Rogue and Beast are debating on whether or not they really meddling too much with the timeline, whether it's worth even trying this. And Beast suggests, hey, let's take a vote. Well, even though democracy has not been formulated yet, the Greeks haven't. Even though democracy and the rule of the majority through formal, voting that hasn't been established yet, let's do. Why don't we do that right now? Let's all amongst us fellow mutants vote on. Oh, fuck cancer. 10 minutes in. Uh, let's all vote like civilized individuals and see what we want to do as a collective. Magneto just uses his powers to snatch uh and short circuit Bishop's time ban and says, well, that's my vote. Because Magneto, his votes count double. You know what I'm saying? Like Magneto, he I don't know if he doesn't know how to play fair. You know what I mean? Once he thinks he's right about something, that's just in his character. So Magneto crushes that up and basically puts them in a position where it's like, okay, now we have to go through with this whole situation. Now we gotta work with Nerve because he might know where that whole vision that Charles saw from the previous episode. He might know the location of this hidden technology that King Ramatut is after. That hidden technology can help us get home. So he strands them there, and they got to put all the eggs in one basket. They got to bet and they go all in on the parlay of Charles being able to get that information out of Ensabar North. So we cut back to Charles and Ensabar North. And Ensabar North says, "What would you have me do?" And Charles was like, "Well, let me go in your mind and see if we could match up my vision with your knowledge of the locations of the area and try to find this place where that hidden temple might be, where that hidden you know technology might be." Charles goes in his mind, sees his whole past, sees baby Apocalypse, sees him, being left in the desert by his mom, being found, him growing up, being just like super strong, and people know it, looking at him as his gray skin, his blue lips, and him having to sleep not on bedding but on the floor. Even the other slaves were sleeping on bedding, and he was relegated to the floor in the corner. And basically, he was put through all these trials and tribulations of him having to show his strength. He never had time to like relax and be peaceful. To the point where before even Charles goes in his mind, he said, "Yo, this might be uncomfortable. I'm just letting you know. Just try to relax." And Esteban just leans back and says, "Yo, pain calms me." Red flag number 400. But they still going forward with the plan. He said, "Pain calms me." They get these visions. They see a constellation, which is in the pattern of something we'll talk about in a second. And Esteban knows, like, all right, I know what that is. I can lead y'all there. It's the gardeners, whatever. Let's go. So they all hop on a camel's back. Not on one camel back, but on several camelbacks. I don't know if this is the most efficient means of travel. In the episode, the day-night cycle seems to go, past a couple times before they finally get to the the very edge of where they need to be. They find right under the constellation that Charles peeped in Ensabanor's mind where the temple will be, and they find it and they set up camp. They get off the camels and they set up camp, right? Because Magneto suggests, "Hey, let's set up camp. Let's get some rest before we go in there. We don't know what's about to happen in there." Cool. Everybody's sleeping except Rogue. Rogue has a very nice moment, contemplation. It's a little sad and somber, but she's talking. She's reminiscing, thinking about basically about Gambit and everybody that passed in Genosha. She's lost other people, but specifically that latest tragedy and her losing Gambit. He's been on her mind very prominently. And Sabanur comes up to the campfire next to her. He's like, "Oh, I don't be sleeping either. What are you looking forward to when you go back to your time?" And she's like, "Not much." She's like, "Not much." He's like, "Word." She's like, "Yeah, cause it's not about what I'm going back to. It's who's not there when I get back." And Sabanur understands, but he's never he's never been loved really. Maybe feared and respected, but not loved. And he says to her how everybody he's ever known has basically died, has been taken away from him. Forget about anybody who he's loved. I don't know if he's even experienced that at all. That's that. The concept of that might be something he's seen, but it's hard. It's hard to hear love and see love over them lashes, those electric lashes that King Ramatut's uh, slave drivers whip the slaves with. So she says to him before she finally, walks away from the fire and tries to get some shut eye. She says to him, "I hope you do experience love one day." And then she throws in for all our sakes because I mean she knows fundamentally this person has never experienced love. Now, while everybody's sleeping, Charles gets a vision because Ramatut, he got that future tech. Ramatut throws on something that looks a little bit like a cerebro type of thing. And him and Charles have a tete-a-tete. Ramatut has a tete-a-tete with Professor X. And he basically starts telling him, look, man, I know y'all at the temple. I'm trying to get there first, though. You gotta trust me on this, Charles. You gotta trust. Let me get there first. Y'all shouldn't walk in there first. Let me get there first. And Charles like, why should I trust you, man? I don't even, like, who are you? And Ramatut gotta tell him, yo, many names. You should call me Nathan. You should call me Victor. You should call me Kang. And he leaves it at that. And he's basically saying, look, man, trust me. Let me get into the temple. Don't keep hanging out with this Escobar nerd dude anymore. Trust me. I know I shot this laser beam at y'all. I know y'all seen me do nothing but strewn the desert with bodies and blood. I know you see me resurrecting statues in my honor. Like I got time for vanity projects when I'm supposed to be here on this chronological crusade. You know what I'm saying? I got time for that to throw up these images that praise me. Don't go in the temple, my brother. Professor X is like, nah, man, we going in there. And Ramatut is like, all right. I mean, you're making a mistake. Cool. So they finally go in the temple. And when they walk into the temple, this is a shot from the actual episode here. Those little dots you see in the top part of the image, that's the X-Men looking up at what essentially looks like the hollowed out body of a Celestial. And it's the Celestials that are like drawing Ensabanur and the X-Men to this location. A location that Rogue and Beast, when they get in there, they start saying, yo, I feel like deja vu right now. I feel like we've been here before. But they can't quite put their finger on it. As you can see, there's an X in the road or a fork in the road here in the image. And they decide to split up to look around. And Sabar is like, well, the only person I'm traveling with is Charles. Because I guess at that moment, the only one that he trusting right now, even a little bit, is Professor X. And Bishop was like, no. I'll go with y'all too. I'm not gonna let you just go with Charles in his wheelie chair when you be crashing out on a millennial scale. Nah, fuck out of here. I'll go with y'all. And the rest of the team goes to the other side of the ship. Now, when they go to the other side of the ship, Beast finds like a console and he starts noticing, yo, hold up. It's not deja vu we feeling. We have been here before. And Nightcrawler's like, fuck you talking about? What you mean? And Beast is like, yo, this is ship. This ship is ship. It's the ship named Ship. From the X-Men animated series. The ship that Apocalypse was cruising around in. The same ship that, unbeknownst to Beast and all that the future team of X-Men that were in the year 3,000, 5,000, whatever it was, the ship that they just chased Apocalypse away from, where Nathan Dayspring, Ascani's son, Charles Summers, I got all the names wrong in the order, but those are most of his names. This is the ship where he just put his arm in and bind it with computer, the AI of the vessel. Beast is like, yo, this we in the weapon of apocalypse right now. We abort mission. But it's a little too late because Ronda, cut to Professor X, Bishop, and Ensaban Noor. There's all these like images on the walls of the lining of the ship. These hieroglyphic type things. And Ensaban Noor is looking around. He's like, yo, that's me. That look like me. That look like y'all. And that look like me. Like when he sees this particular image that I'm showing on the screen of like, Apocalypse with the A on the belt, sitting on a throne with skulls surrounding him and like plants growing out of the eye sockets of these skulls. He doesn't know that that's how he gonna look. But the other images really do show Ensaban Nur with Professor X, Beast, Nightcrawler, Rogue, Magneto, Bishop, just like how like it's like all this was destined, prophesied to happen. Like it was inevitable. It was unavoidable. And right there, Ensaban Nur again crashes out, turns and looks at Charles. He's like, y'all not just trying to get home. Y'all trying to prevent me from becoming that. Y'all trying to prevent me from my destiny. Y'all trying to hold me back. And Charles is like, nah, you don't understand, bro. Like, this is not good. Like, you sitting there surrounded by straight death, my boy. That you don't want to do that. Trust me. You just gonna be a monster if you become that. And he's like, nah, yo, nah, el monstruo eres tú. He's like, you the monster. You the bad guy here. Cause you talking about I could sit on a throne, I could gain power. I'ma do that. Step up there and I'ma do that. And he starts walking towards Charles like he gonna snuff him out. Bishop was like, no, pulls the gat out, and he's like, no, don't take a step, but come on. Ensaban Nur, just in his physicals, he's too strong, he's too quick. So he knocks out Bishop in a moment, like easy, like. And he don't bother to hit Charles, but he starts walking towards the platform. And that's when Charles sends out the Logan, bring me a cheese pizza message, sends out the WhatsApp text to the rest of the team. I don't know why they weren't linked up to begin with when they walked in. Like, that was a tactical mistake on Charles's part. They should have always had the telepathic walkie on, but whatever. Gotta tell a story, right? Gotta create drama. And he starts telling the other team, yo, this is bad. This is bad. Come back over here. This the spot. He about to turn into our number one enemy throughout all time. And the X-Men show up. And they try to stop him. Nightcrawler grabs Ensaban Nur. He teleports him away from the panel that he's trying to get to. It's the same platform, basically, that we saw in the first episode of season 2, where Nathan gets his power. It's the same platform. And, Ensaban Nur basically just knocks all these dudes out. Like, gets to the panel, touches the there's like this diamond shaped, I don't know what to call it. It looks like a diamond. It looks like some type of, but essentially it's just future tech. It's celestial technology. He touches it and starts communing directly with a celestial. And that celestial is basically telling Ensaban Nur, if you're strong enough to survive this process, you will be the shore that time crashes its waves upon, and wave upon wave of time will hit you, but you will be constant. You will be constant. You will be the end. Because the Celestials, even the Gardener and all this, the Celestials are all about cycles. They're not about permanence. They're the only things that are trying to be permanent. In every world that they've been in, they try to put in things that alter the destinies of the planets that they pass by for the purposes of ultimately bringing across the destruction of all time. That's what the Celestials be doing, bro. They're not here to frolic and grow things. They're here to just reap and harvest. So Apocalypse, he sees that Celestial, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll do it. I'm the strongest. I'm the fittest. I'll be that end." And the Celestial's like, "Say the words." And he says the words. I am the eternal shore. The words that we heard him say all the way back in the original animated series. And our boy Insabar Noor turns into Apocalypse. Turns into Apocalypse. Gets that look in his eye, like it's me, I'm him. I don't need a Gucci belt. I got an A across my waist. That A is for ass whooping. That A is for absolute. That A is for apocalypse. Brandon marketing game on one. And Charles and the X-Men are like, oh boy. We unknowingly led this motherfucker to the place where he gets this power up and becomes this mutant menace, this tyrannical, super powerful force. And their jaws are just all up on the floor. Along with their bodies, because he soloed all of them and knocked them all up. And he gets this look in his eyes like, I'm about to do some things. Now that I got all the power and I don't got to rely on nobody, I'm a god. I'm about to do some things. Beast, before he rendezvoused with the team, he's telling them, I was able to use some tech I found here on the ship to fix Bishop's armband. Magneto, the Casio watch that you crushed. You know what I'm saying, Magneto? And he tells them that, but they're like, nah, we gotta stop this dude because he about to take ship and probably attack Ramatut, which is exactly what he tries to do. And Apocalypse, because they can't stop him, he's just shrugging them all off. He sets the coordinates of ship to go straight to Ramatut's city. Now, as ship is traveling the Camel's Pass, zooming over to Ramatut's city, Ramatut takes off the helmet. He was like, all right, Charles didn't want to listen. I'm out of here. And his assistant is like, fuck you mean? He's like, man, Apocalypse is taking shape. He's taking form. He got his power. This timeline ain't for me, love. I'm out. And she like, fuck you talking about? Because she don't understand the concepts of time travel and all this shit. She barely questioning the technology he be using on a daily. And he throws on the Kang suit, gives the look like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm time will tell what's gonna happen to y'all, but I'm gonna go to another timeline. Let me try to go to a timeline where Apocalypse ain't fucking around. Which, I mean, there's not many of those. Not many timelines where Apocalypse isn't fucking around. But Kang dips. Kang puts on the full suit and dips. Now, the ship is headed to the locations, headed to that city. Now, in that city of Ramatut, there's other slaves, and there's people there that are victims too. It's a whole city. And Magneto throws on the helmet. Charles, you can see, is in the background on the floor, wheelchair tipped. And Magneto is trying his best to hold off Apocalypse. He's trying his best. He is an Omega level mutant. We know that. He's Omega level, but man, there's only so much you could do. And he's grabbing all the swords up, throwing them at Apocalypse. Beast and Bishop like, yo, we gotta get the fuck out of here. And Magneto's like, nah, y'all go. This on me. I promise y'all I'll get y'all home. Y'all go. Charles, you too. Fuck out of here. And basically, the X-Men team are getting ready to warp out of there. There's an explosion. Boom. It tosses Charles towards Magneto. And the other X-Men teleport out. They time slide out of there. Bishop, Beast, Nightcrawler, Rogue. They get sent back to their time. But Charles and Magneto, they get left behind. And Magneto's like, fuck, man, Charles, I want you to go. And Charles like, what the fuck you mean? Like, he's like, you can't do this. And he's like, I got to. I got to do this because at the end of the day, the future needs you. The future needs you. It don't need me. All the future needed, all time needed, was for me to be the devil to your sainthood. All it needed was for me to be that shadow to your light. That's all it needed. Magneto with bars to the very end. He's trying to fight Ensabar Noah. But, just a reminder, this the look Ensabar Noah is giving everybody. Like he ready to fuck motherfuckers up. He ain't here to play. He ain't here to play. So Magneto's like, all right, Charles, try to get your ass over to the console. Try to get over there and push some buttons. Talk to Ship while I'm dealing with this fucking transforming ass giant who triple his size light work, and he's turning his hands into futuristic, drill bits and shit, and he's just one-shotting my shields. These shields that have withstood all types of attacks. He's just one-shotting these shits. He's that strong. Mind you, Magneto was able to hold off Kang's technology, that whole beam that took down basically a mountain. He was able to save them from that. He was able to survive that the wild Sentinels fucking neon green beams and shit that was turning other mutants into ash. He was able to, his shields are able to survive that. Well, Apocalypse is just like one shot in these shits. Charles is at the helm. He makes it to Ship's console. He's like, yo, Ship, can you change course, please, and not go to that city listening to this motherfucker, please? Ship's like, can't do that. What the fuck you mean you can't do that? Ship is like, nah. I'm doing what he said. I'm doing what he said. I ain't doing what you say. I'm doing what he said. You see what the fuck he doing to your boy? I ain't trying to see him attack me. And Charles is like, damn, Ship, it's like that. And unfortunately, Ship makes it to the destination. Ship makes it. And Ship is about to, like, just drop a nuke on this city. Magneto is able to wrap up Apocalypse in a bunch of metal. Apocalypse is trying to grow out of the metal. Magneto's using all his powers to, like, wrap him up in this metal. And then he tosses Apocalypse to the horizon to buy him some time. And he looks at Charles. He says, look, man, this is bad. And there's an explosion, boom, below them, and they could see like it's a black hole just formulating above the city, and it's just annihilating, it's decimating the people there. It's just gravitationally pulling houses, homes, people, cattle, whatever. Kang dipped. He left. Let me remind you, Kang saw that shit and said, "Yeah, I'm out. I don't want none of this. I don't want none of this shit." Okay? Kang dipped. Left the timeline. Magneto's like, nah, I'm the only one that could stop this, Charles. I'm the only one that could stop this, my friend. I got this, bro. Gives him a quick hug. Wraps Charles up in metal too. Tosses him to safety away from the city limits into the sand. And then Magneto goes to work. Magneto, Omega level mutant. The art style, art direction, all that freaking wonderful. Really showcasing the power level of the Master of Magnetism. He's able somehow to stifle that black hole, wrapping it in his, force field type stuff. Um, and he grabs ship, the ship that didn't want to listen to Charles, and uses it to ram into the force field that he's put around the black hole, and he stops it. He stops it. He gets sent blasting off away like Team Rocket. A mushroom cloud forms, and the survivors, they're looking up and praising the heavens. They saw what he did. They saw what Magneto did. They don't know who the fuck he is, but they saw what he did. And they're like praising the ground. And at that time, Professor X emerges from the cocoon of metal that his friend Magneto protected him in. He emerges from the shell. He's crawling in the sand dunes. And he could see, like, from the sky falling. He could see Magneto in a flickering force field bubble because he can't really keep it all together. He sees him falling towards the sand, and poof, he lands, and he's very weakened. And Charles is within range of him and of earshot, and he's crawling to him. He's saying, "Yo, yo, get up, my boy, get up." But unfortunately, Apocalypse is back. You can hear his footsteps, and the artwork is tremendous. So intimidating. The shadow that Apocalypse casts at the top of this sand dune, with Magneto at his feet in a crater where he landed, and Charles, you know, hopelessly trying to crawl towards his friend. I was worried when they said they were gonna do a, have Apocalypse in this. I was worried that they weren't gonna be able to capture the presence that the original Fox animated series had when it came to Apocalypse. Like, he spoke in like baroque poems. Like, he spoke like he knew that it was over once he breathed his first breath coming out that ship. He knew, that he had this presence. He had bars. He had, you know, saying crazy shit. I know more of this world than you could imagine. That is why I must destroy it. Like, shit like that. And Charles is looking up at Apocalypse, and Apocalypse is talking his shit. He's like, "Yo, you talk about how you want to be a teacher. How you want to be a teacher? You don't even understand the lesson." And Kang is laughing. He's not even there, but he laughing from whatever time stream he's at. He's like, I told you to listen to me." But Charles didn't listen. And Charles, he's like, "You talking to me?" And Parker's like, "Yeah, I'm talking to you, bitch. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Talking to you." And Kang's like, "I told you." Professor X looking up. Apocalypse reaches down, grabs Magneto by the dome, by the helmeted head, picks him up, and gives him the Harvey Dent line, bro. Says, "Lie to this man like you lied to me. Tell him it's gonna be all right." And Professor X, he can't even say the words. He can't even say the word. The words can't escape his mouth. He mentally connects through a crack in Magneto's helmet, because that's how hard the impact was. Because Magneto's helmet is supposed to block Charles' telepathy. There was a little crack in the helmet, I guess, and you could see his telepathic powers, his psychic powers, reaching out to his friend. He's saying, "Bro, there's nothing I can do, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I can't help you. I can't help you." Magneto is like, he don't even acknowledge that apology. He's too busy apologizing himself. His last words are, "I'm sorry," saying that to Charles. And Apocalypse turns his hand into a futuristic weapon, and you can see in the reflection of Charles's eyes as Magneto is vaporized. One shot. Dead. Deaded. Shoots him. Nothing remains except the helmet he was gripping. He tosses that shit down the doom, down the hill at Charles Xavier. Like that moment, the sound design, the sound of the weapon going off, the silence of the desert captured the hopelessness and the disparity in like power. Even the sound of the metal helmet rolling in the sand towards Charles. And Charles is like, motherfucker, your mama should have left you in that fucking air fryer, boy. I wish Ball didn't find your ass, boy. You ain't shit, boy. And Apocalypse looking at him like, man, what you what you gonna tell me? I was a slave, now I'm a god, bro. Like, fuck you gonna tell me that's gonna affect me? I've been through hell. And now I'm standing on top of it. I'm God now. I'm a god. And Charles says, nah, man, you ain't shit. I've been to the future. I know you ain't no god. You are a monster and you're always gonna be a monster. Apocalypse just says to him, just Uno reverses that shit and says, but I'll always be. Now to say that after you kill this man's best friend in front of him, who's no longer, and you say to him, you can call me whatever the fuck you want, but you just said out your mouth, I'm always be. And then he puts his boot to Charles's fucking forehead. His size 38 boot puts that shit right on his forehead. And then he quotes Magneto as he Allen Iverson steps over this motherfucker off the Hezzy Tim stomp, the curb stomp. Says, only a coward, only a coward basically will find comfort stepping on an ant. He walks off and leaves this motherfucker to his tears, leaves him crying. Charles is just completely dumbfounded and shocked. He crawls over to the helmet, just puts his head down, starts crying, probably for hours because the sun sets and it goes well into night before Bishop shows up. Bishop shows up, puts his hand on Charles's shoulder, and he's like, "Yo, I'm sorry. I can see what happened here." And Charles says, in a rare moment for Charles, in the animated series. Obviously, in the comics, is more nuanced storylines and things like that, where Charles is shown to not be so infallible, right? But Charles says to him, "We couldn't stop him. We never stop him." Like he's thinking about Charles in that moment is thinking about the present, the past, and the future that he's experienced. And he's basically saying, "Yo, Apocalypse." He's saying Apocalypse is unstoppable, bro. And it ends right there. But no, it doesn't, because it's a cutscene where it shows Wolverine wearing the black freaking burglar outfit that he had back in season 5 of the original X-Men series, animated series. Captain America shows up. 90s accurate Black Widow shows up, and they hand Logan a file that says Weapon X on it. Give him a little warning not to go down this path because this government cover up this Weapon X program. But Logan is like, don't worry, I got a team. I just gotta handle something real quick. We know what Logan's gonna do. Logan's gonna try to find a way to get his adamantium back into his body. What Magneto done ripped out last season. He's gonna probably track down whatever the Weapon X labs were, and he's gonna try to get that adamantium back in his body. Who the team he's with, I don't know. There was a little snippet that they showed on social media today where like Psylocke and Wolverine are like training with one another. Maybe he recruits X Force to help him with this mission. Maybe he convinces Cable it's in your best interest if we fight Apocalypse. I gotta suit up, like for real, for real. But a hell of an episode. Magneto is dead, and I know it's comic books, and especially with the X-Men. If you're familiar with the Krakoa era of comics, they basically make resurrection a default option if you're a mutant. So motherfuckers die and come back all the time. But for the purposes of this animated series and the story, and since we kind of already know that Gambit's gonna be brought back as one of, Apocalypse's horsemen, like that is strongly hinting that that's gonna happen, right? I mean, I kind of want Magneto to stay dead for a little bit. I kind of want him to be dead for a little bit, longer than Remy's been dead. I think that would make more of an impactful sense. I definitely want him to come back, but I think that would make a lot of sense if they kept him dead. And I talked about it in the last episode. I really do think that Onslaught is gonna be where eventually the story goes. I'm sorry if there's not a great picture. Let me zoom it out a little bit. I do think they're gonna go the Onslaught route eventually. I mean, in this very image coming from one of the comic books in which Onslaught is featured, I mean, look at the moon behind them. The vision that Charles saw when he saw that moon shaped, sort of like Magneto's helmet. I mean, for fans of the X-Men, of the comics for a long time, all I could think about was Onslaught. And I think in that moment when Charles decided not to speak to his friend before he drew his last breath, I think that Charles probably like downloaded, probably into his own consciousness. I think he downloaded Magneto, his friend. I think he downloaded him mentally, telepathically, psychically, because that's basically what they do in the Krakoan era. They have these, they have both physical backups of the mutants, thanks to Nathaniel Essex, Mr. Sinister's database of mutant DNA, which I mean they should have never trusted him, but I mean he has the library when it comes to that. So they have both the physiological database for all the mutants, and then Charles through Cerebro and other telepaths have like basically the mental, even spiritual aspect of the mutant, the personality, what has that consciousness, the memories and shit of those mutants on backup. And I think that's probably what Charles did, or it'll be revealed that that's what Charles did. And maybe we'll see Charles take on more of Magneto's persona until eventually Onslaught appears. And Onslaught is basically like, if I remember correctly, Onslaught is kind of like the psionic echoes of Magneto and Charles's trauma, their pain, their anger, their frustration, all that. He becomes this being that is more powerful than Apocalypse. Is more powerful than a lot of motherfuckers. I think that's eventually where they're gonna go. But the episode, I mean, I have to give this episode a 10. It hit like very similar to the Remember Me episode with Gambit. It had these moments of incredible action, but also great storytelling. And then who could forget just Kang dipping out, laughing all the way. Like, who could forget that? I can't. I won't. Kang just dipped the fuck out. You got an Avengers Assemble level threat. Kang, it takes all the Avengers. Fuck what you seen in Ant Man. The Avengers got to go through multiple timelines just to land a punch on this motherfucker. On Kang. Doctor Doom is frustrated sometimes fighting with Kang because he's like, come on, man. Like Doom is still him, but I'm just saying, like Kang is that. And the moment Apocalypse shows up in the club, he dips the fuck out of the timeline, leaves the entire time. He had a palace established. He was doing the interior decorating. And he said, nah, you know what? Nah, fuck this shit, bro. I'm out. Try again. Dips the timeline. The X-Men, they gotta figure out a plan now because Apocalypse, there's no stopping him. Charles, I mean, He might have lost hope. He seems crushed, understandably so. And unlike with Magneto, where Charles was able to go in his subconscious and help talk him out of it, help talk no jutsu him out of it, who's gonna do that for Charles? I don't know. I mean, this motherfucker's capable. Gene maybe, but Charles, I think he's gonna be in his feelings, and I think eventually he's gonna break, and I think that's when we're gonna get onslaught. I think that's what's gonna go eventually. Next episode, though, due to the title, is a callback to the sex lies and videotape. There's an episode Weapon X Mutants and videotape, something like that, from the original animated series when they showed Wolverine in his early Spec Op days. When he first met like Maverick and Sabretooth and Silver Fox and other motherfuckers. Um, there's an episode coming up that instead of videotape, I think it says DVDs, some shit like that. And I think we're gonna see Wolverine. At least part of the episode is gonna be Wolverine getting back his adamantium somehow, and then maybe the X-Men gearing up and modernizing a little past the '90s because they start rocking those yellow and black suits. But we'll see. Uniforms. We'll see where that goes. Anyway, 10 out of 10 episode. Um, no face cam this time around. I'll make up for that Tuesday, but hopefully you enjoyed the breakdown and my take on it. Let me know what you think. Do you think that onslaught is inevitable? Do you think Charles maybe downloaded Magneto's subconscious into his own head or something? Do you think that Magneto will come back or return? What if he turns Magneto into one? Nah, he vaporized that motherfucker. He not turning into shit. Nah. Like he went and got Gambit's corpse out the casket. Said thanks, War. I know War. I know I'm cutting into your barbershop time. You're supposed to go get a shape up for that fucking bowl cut. But thanks for dropping off this fresh casket for me, full of Remy, LeBeau, Gambi. Yeah. Nah, there's nothing left of Magneto. That motherfucker got vaporized. Dunzo. But yeah, let me know what you think. Share this breakdown with anybody you know loves X Men as well. Um, and if I put you onto something, let me know. And thank you for listening, watching, what have you. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and catch you on Tuesday for the next Slim S7 episode.